Melvin Chan and his brother run an award-winning real estate team at REMAX Crest Realty, and Melvin has a passion for helping first-time buyers get into the market. Working with both homeowners and investors, their team covers Vancouver, Burnaby, Richmond, and in 2021, they completed 96 transactions. Today, Melvin will be giving us an insight into the markets that he works in and sharing some of the pre-sale projects that he's excited about in 2022. So I see the hockey jersey there in the background there, Melvin. So from a hockey player switching into a realtor, when and why did you make the switch from hockey into real estate?
But yeah, first off, thanks Taylor for having me on. So obviously grew up playing hockey, went to University of Victoria, was hoping to play for the school team, got injured during training camp. So after I got injured, kind of shifted over in terms of skill development. So opened up my own company with my brother Milton, and that's been going really well. But pretty much right after university, my whole goal was, hopefully getting into real estate, since I was a kid, right? My entire family is in real estate. My dad's my managing broker. My mom's a notary. My uncle is, a property manager. So everyone's kind of in line within the real estate business. So kind of growing up with all that, I've always kind of had, the motivation to kind of get into real estate. So the moment, right after university, I got my license and kind of jumped full on, joined the team, got a little, got a lot of mentorship from that team. And, in my second year, I started kind of breaking away with, a lot of my own clients. And pretty much after my second year, I decided to start my own team, which I also have, kind of like you said, my brother Milton join along as well. And now we also have another new team member as well.
Very nice. It's nice to have another hockey player on the interview here. I played a little bit in my day, but Taylor always likes to give me a little grief when I bring it up. So it's nice to have some connection there. And then, transitioning into real estate, kind of same song and dance. After I was done playing, got into real estate as well. So, and as you mentioned, your father was in real estate. You're now working with your brother as your business partner. What's that like? How's that the dynamic there working with your family?
It's amazing. So I have a lot of guidance, obviously, from my dad. Like I said, he's my managing broker. So especially with my first 2 years when everything is so new and I had like a bunch of questions pretty much every single day, every single transaction, I would have questions, and I'm just soaking up all the knowledge that he has. So it was great to have him. Obviously, for him, he doesn't do sales anymore. He only focuses on being the managing broker and a VP of our brokerage. So for him, mainly just the guidance. But when Milton joined on in my third year, I'm sure you guys know, as hockey players, we have that healthy competition of everyone wanting to be the best, right? But obviously for me and him, he was just starting out, but it was a healthy competition that really pushed me to kind of get to that next level. So I always give him a ton of credit for, all the success I have. Is, in my opinion, I think him joining on, every single time I see him do a deal, I want to do two. So every single time I see that, it really motivates me. So it's definitely nice to be in a family business like that, in terms of having the guidance from my dad, but also with Milton joining along, keeping us all accountable.
That's awesome, and definitely makes for some interesting dinner table conversations. And I think one of the biggest things that hockey players have a hard time transitioning from into the work world is the 2:00 midday nap isn't the same. No pregame naps for the real estate agents. Melvin, I know you have a passion for helping first-time home buyers. Talk about what that aspect is of your business and kind of the joy that it brings you helping people break into the market.
Yeah, big part of my business. Last year, I would say 60 to 70% of my deals were all first-time home buyers. Really grateful to have that part being a part of my business. But yeah, it's something that I'm really passionate about. I know how hard it is for especially young first-time home buyers to get into this crazy Vancouver real estate market. It's doable, but it's kind of going through step by step with them, and where you're able to kind of bring them from point A all the way to the final step of getting their keys, it's super fulfilling, right? But yeah, like I think for me, like my business grew quite a bit just because, the moment I started working with first-time home buyers, they had a really good experience. They start, spreading out the word to all their, young friends as well. Say, hey, Melvin can, help me get a home. He can probably help you also, purchase your first home. So that's a really big part of my business in terms of kind of get them started. It doesn't really matter if they're planning to buy now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. It's kind of getting that conversation started and helping them plan for when it does happen.
Yeah, getting into the market can definitely have, some intimidation factor. I was speaking with a client yesterday, just mentioning that how, it's great to get in, but it can be a bit daunting. And especially being able to relate, as a young realtor, working with those clients, getting them into their first home. That's awesome. And yeah, kind of my next point, social media nowadays seems to be, such a great way to connect with your clients and market to your clients. How has social media helped you in your real estate business?
Yeah, it's pretty huge. Obviously when I first started getting into the real estate business, I think social media was starting to come along in terms of like Instagram, TikTok, Facebook marketing. It was still relatively new in terms of when I was starting. But for me, that was kind of my strength. I knew, there's going to be tons of agents who, can do the more traditional marketing, and they're going to be able to get their clients through that. But for me, I was able to spread, from one picture to over 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 different people, right? Just off of one post. Right. So I kind of leveraged that in terms of creating video content as well, in terms of teaching my clients, what the buying process is like, and then also sharing some information, for example, like pre-sales, right? I've been able to build a lot of good connections with, big developers in the Lower Mainland, and to kind of have that first access for a lot of my clients. I'm able to connect that with my social media and start sharing this information before I would say most realtors or even brokerages could share this information. So with the social media marketing, I'm able to target a wide range of, demographics, and they reach out to me directly and say, hey, I'm interested in pre-sale. I see your ads pretty much everywhere on Facebook and Instagram. How do I get a unit off you, right? So I kind of help them connect with these developers and help them secure a unit of their choice within some of these big projects.
Great. Yeah, I definitely love the video marketing that you and your team do. What areas of the Lower Mainland do you guys service? Which different markets do you guys work in?
Yeah, I would say majority of our business has been in Richmond, but we have done, most of it is, Richmond, Burnaby, Vancouver. Those three major cities within the greater Vancouver area, I would say we do most of our deals in, but we have helped clients in the past out in Langley or even out in Chilliwack if it's a super close client of ours. But in terms of our expertise, I would say, Richmond, Burnaby, and Vancouver.
Yeah, and these markets that you service, what are the activity levels that you're seeing today?
It's pretty crazy because there's absolutely no inventory. Even when we're doing market analysis for a bunch of our clients, prepping them to write an offer, we're like, hey, this is what has sold in the past. And, based off of the inventory level, the demand, this is what we see as the market value. But even then, a lot of people are, a little bit worried because, someone might have sold their home. So they are willing to overpay in order to secure their next home. So that's kind of what we're seeing right now is low inventory, high demand. And in most cases, if the property is marketed well, priced well, you're going to see multiple offers. And typically, even on a condo, you're going to see, 5 to 10. The other day, I went to a townhouse showing out in Brentwood. There were 120 groups in over 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
And that leads, directly right into the next question here is with the lack of supply and with the amount of demand and, groups through and offers on these properties, sounds like a good time to be a seller. The next question is where do you go if you are selling? So what kind of advice are you giving when you're working with your sellers? Are you saying, let's put the house on the market now and then find your next property? Are you finding that next property first and then selling? How are you structuring that? And what kind of advice do you give your sellers moving into something like this?
Really good question. it depends because each person's situation is going to be a little bit different. But most cases, I think it's a great time to sell if you are needing to sell, right? But you also do need a strategy in place. I think in this market, I usually recommend, my sellers, if you have to buy a home, we have to understand that, when you guys are getting multiple offers on the sale of your home, when you're purchasing it, same thing. You're going to have to go into multiple offers most likely. So my recommendation is let's go out, take a look at what's available on the market currently, see what they like, and hopefully write an offer on the purchase first. And then we can strategize in terms of their sale afterwards. In most cases, obviously, we want to have that conversation beforehand, setting the expectations right in terms of what the market value is and what they could achieve. So even when they do buy, we're going to be quite confident in terms of what they're going to be selling at.
Yeah, and such a competitive landscape. Important to have your place that you're looking to go purchase before making the sell. For any of your buyers, other than that tip of advice, what else are you kind of guiding them to look at when they are buying?
Yeah, on the buying side, I recommend my buyers, you have to start the process early. So don't wait until when you're planning to move to go look at homes. You want to plan ahead. Get your pre-approval ready. Start taking a look at homes so you know what you like, which areas you like, and you can narrow down, focus on these areas. And when the time comes and you see the right home, you're not going to hesitate. You're going to write that offer right away. And the next advice I'm giving right now is this isn't the market to quote unquote get a deal, right? So what that means is if the market values at a certain price, we're not trying to achieve a significant amount underneath that market value, because in this scenario, most cases right now, you're getting into multiple offers, people are overbidding. So it's not going to be that market where you're trying to negotiate down and trying to get that deal.
That's a good point. And, you mentioned there through your social media, you do a lot of promotion of some of these projects, these pre-sale projects. Where are some of the pre-sale projects that you're most excited about heading into 2022? And why do you like these areas that these properties or these buildings are located in?
Yeah, Taylor, you follow me, so I've been posting a bunch about Brentwood. Like I absolutely love that area in Burnaby. It's growing completely, and there's 2 projects coming out in Q1 that are going to be iconic buildings coming to Brentwood. So we're going to have the amazing Brentwood by Shape Properties. That's going to be the core building that's coming out. That's going to be, you're having the redeveloped mall right underneath, and this is what I'm calling the luxury side of the amazing Brentwood. So you're going to have restaurants, you're going to have retail that's coming in that's more on the higher end. So you're going to see maybe the steakhouses coming in. They have partnerships with major brands possibly coming in, something like LV, Chanel, Dior, bigger luxury brands coming in, which will bring a lot more value coming into the area. Same thing with Concord Brentwood, relatively close by to the amazing Brentwood. And these buildings are going to be iconic. It's close by. They're going to be having a nice green space for all the residents as well. So these are things that are hard to find, especially in the lower mainland. And the reason why we think it's a good opportunity is we're comparing this to Metrotown, right? And Metrotown, you're seeing most of the sales now, they're selling roughly pre-sale $1,500 a square foot, right? I'm estimating what's coming out with Concord Brentwood and the amazing Brentwood, probably 1,300 to 1,400 square foot, right? The past project that sold, which was Slate by Beatty, that one was selling close to $1,250 a square foot, which in our opinion was a great deal. We got our clients in on that one super early, got them lots of our VIP incentives as well. So for us, we see it as a really good deal because we think Brentwood is a very diverse location where it's connecting people from Port Moody, but also Vancouver and Burnaby, East Vancouver, North Vancouver, West Vancouver, for people to move to Brentwood. So that's why a lot of our investors right now are zoning in on Brentwood and hopefully getting into these projects.
Yeah, and we have been hearing a ton about pre-sales, something that myself was looking to learn a little bit more about, and I'm sure people listening. Can you maybe walk us through what a pre-sale would look like as a buyer? You know, how long it usually takes until you can move in, and what the purchasing process looks like.
Yeah, the purchasing process is usually, we're gonna, if it's a hot project right now, you're gonna get in 5 to 6 years before it completes. So we would write on to the contract. We're going to go into the presentation center. We're going to take a look at what the development is, what the floor plans are available, roughly what the price ranges are. And from there, we're going to be sending in a suite request form. So what that means is on this form, we're going to be checking off what your preference is, first choice, second choice, third choice, and each one you're going to choose which budget you're looking at and what floor plan you like. And from there, we're going to work directly with these developers to hopefully allocate you one of your top 3 choices, right? A lot of these projects are in high demand, and obviously with our connections with these developers, we're going to try our best to allocate you a unit as well. And then from there, pretty much you're going to be working through a deposit structure. It depends on each project, but for example, it could be 5%, 5%, 5%, 5%, spanned out within, let's just say 2 years, right? So total 20% deposit, and you just have to wait all the way until closing, which could be, for example, 2026, 2027, for most projects currently launching.
That was very, very helpful. Thank you for sharing that. You do work with investors. Are you an investor yourself? And if so, what are some of the areas or the markets maybe outside of the Lower Mainland that you would look at or consider for investment properties?
Yeah, I've invested myself as well. I'm true to my word. I tell my investors, explain to them why I love Brentwood. I've invested in Brentwood myself. I personally think there's certain areas as well that are quite undervalued still, that hasn't seen the shift and action that most markets have seen. So they're, downtown Vancouver. We think that's such a good opportunity right now. And a lot of our investors are still looking into downtown Vancouver. They believe that, people will, at the end, they move back to the core of Vancouver for their job. Most people right now are working from home, and they have the flexibility to move a little bit further away from their office. But sooner or later, everyone will have to come back into office, and the opportunity in terms of pricing and value that you're getting from downtown market currently, it's pretty unbelievable. So that's why a lot of our investors, we've been going on a lot of buyer tours, zoning in on the downtown Vancouver core.
Yeah, and one thing we always recommend when we're working with clients is to recommend working with someone who also is an investor themselves. It's nice to look at your client or someone that's looking for an investment and say, here's where I'm investing and this is why. It gives them a bit of reassurance that you're pointing them in the right direction. So if people were looking to get in touch with you, potentially look at some of these properties or see where there's some areas of opportunity, what are the best ways other than social media to get in contact there with you?
Yeah, you can reach us on our website at mcrealestategroup.ca, or you can just email me directly. I'm sure Taylor will leave my contact information down below somewhere for you guys as well. But kind of like what you mentioned, you could reach out to me on social media as well. I do get a lot of DMs directly through social media. So message me through there if you are interested in pre-sales or even resale in Richmond, Vancouver, Burnaby.